welcome to the special edition of Footcast Social. We've got the best of the players. We've had the best of legendary commentators. And guess who do we have today? We have the most awe-inspiring tale of football in the world up till now. We've got a player who was born in Afghanistan. She traveled all the way to Italy when she was 10, and then she ends up in a refugee camp in Denmark. And guess what? When she turns 18, she becomes a goal-scoring machine. She speaks 9 languages, and her love for Indian food, Bollywood, and Indian cricket is legendary. Joining me straight from Denmark is Dr. Nadia Nadim, the much-decorated player of the Danish national team. Welcome to the show, Nadia. Nadia, let's talk about your journey. As a young girl, you witnessed your father's execution, and then you were forced to flee your country. Can you take us through your ordeal?
Yeah, as you mentioned, everything changed very drastically when the Taliban gained power and my dad was killed because he was a general in the Afghan army. And well, not only that, the changes they brought made it very, very difficult for us, my mom and 5 girls to have a normal life, a normal daily life. So at a certain point, we were forced to escape the country. And yeah, that's what we did. My mom sold everything she had and found people who could help her out of the country. And yeah, the route started through Pakistan and then with flights, fake passports to Italy, and where after that we were transported with truck to Denmark.
Nadia, how painful was that? You said somewhere in your interview that the memories and the pain still haunts you. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's always painful to leave your home, your friends, your identity, and then leave your fate in hands of people you don't know. Some of them even maybe criminals. But, desperate times, I guess, you need desperate measures, and that's one of those. Yeah, we were transported with like minivans across the Pakistani border, and Afghanistan and Pakistan have a huge border, so that wasn't any problem. At first, we were in Karachi for a month and a half. I don't really know where exactly in Karachi. I just remember it was super hot, and and we were in this basement apartment thing, until they had found passports that would fit our profiles, and we flew from Islamabad to Italy. I think it was Milan. Where we then, were transported with a truck to Denmark.
The passport story still intrigues us. Just explain, how did you change your name and how did you actually travel and flee?
No, I mean, you have to understand that this was before 9/11. So the security part was, a lot lighter, and the airports weren't that crazy as they are now. So, finding passports that will match. All right. So they had found a passport that would fit our profiles. I never saw the passport. I don't know, because I wasn't that important. It was my mom who was, and I don't even know what my name was. I was just told not to say anything. Just follow orders. Do not let anyone find out that you guys are not Pakistani, because if you start speaking Dari, then you have a problem, or Farsi. So yeah, that's what happened, and luckily for us, we never got caught.
Well, sticking on to that story, you somewhere mentioned that there was a truck journey that was dark and dingy places. Just take us through that particular moment, the truck journey.
Yeah, definitely. I think you definitely are right. It might have been a very, weird journey because you're behind this truck and you're not really allowed to do anything. You don't want to eat, you don't want to drink, because then you have to pee in the corner. And you don't know where it's going. That was probably the most frustrating part. But at the end, you just know that there might be a chance for a better life, and you take that chance.
Well, interestingly, how did your sisters survive that particular moment? And do you have any memories of that as well?
Of course, you're young, you're a child. You don't really understand what's happening. You do know that, this is not safe. You do know that you can tell by you reading your mom's face, how she reacts. You also understand that this is there's a lot of on stake right now. So you better do as you've been told. And of course, we all were very afraid. We were almost in this shock state of mind. But on the other hand, we also felt kind of safe because we were with my mom, and my mom was a very strong character, always, tried to protect us from what was happening around us. And as long as I knew I was close to my mom, I knew I'll be okay.
You have an older sister. Did she comfort and mother you at that point of time?
Yeah, I think my old sister and I wanted to help my mom because she has a young one, and we had two little bags. So we did everything to help her out and to just join powers and to get this journey through it. So we haven't really spoken about how everyone felt. It hasn't, we haven't had like one of those therapy sessions where you sit around and talk about. I just felt that what happened in the past happened, and we was given a new chance, and we tried to use all our energy to look forward and try to make the best out of this chance that was given us.
Sticking on to the family story, how old was your sister back then, the youngest one?
Yeah, I think the youngest one was around 1.5, two, I think. My mom had her. And the second youngest, I spoke to her the other day, and she said she didn't really remember anything. She said, I feel like my life started when we were at the refugee camp in Denmark. She says, that's where I kind of remember, and that's about it. So it was very interesting to hear that. But, as I said, I think we were lucky to have a mom who was intelligent and a strong woman, and who actually took a lot of the burden on herself.
You came to Denmark, the weather is cold, people are different, they speak different language. In the refugee camp, how did your family cope up to the entire situation?
I think at that point, it was a different world, definitely. It was different, as you said, different environment, different weather, atmosphere, everything was different. But at the same time, it felt safe because you would not hear the sounds of rockets. You knew that there's not going to be some crazy people on the street trying to kill you. So that way I was more calm, and I think that's where I was like, I could be a child again. And I'm very curious of nature. So I was trying to figure out what's happening around me. And I was out almost every day for hours and hours, trying to discover what's happening around me.
Were you suspicious of the unknown Europeans back then?
I'm not really suspicious. No, I think I'm a very open-minded person. And as I said, I'm curious. I love to learn. I want to know what's happening. So I was very curious and wanted to understand like how people work, how was the language, how can I be a part of it, even like slightly. So definitely not suspicious or afraid. Of course, a weird feeling because it's new, it's bizarre. You felt like alien at times because you look different, you act different, you speak different. But at the same time, I also wanted to understand and wanted to speak.
When did your love for football start in the refugee camp?
Yeah, I think that's where I always say my life started, I guess. As in the refugee camp, beside the refugee camp, you had these amazing football fields because there was a football club, faith. And I remember, as I said, we were curious and very quick. We found out that there was people training every day from, 3 p.m. to late 8 p.m. And it was the youngest one starting early. And then later on, it was the, senior teams. And one of the first weeks I discovered that girls were playing football, and I knew right away, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. It looked fun. I've never seen any girl do any kind of sports before that. And I didn't even knew that was an option. I knew what football was because my dad was very into sports, but I've never, really played it. I've juggled a bit, with my dad fooling around, but never really football. So when I saw it, I always describe it when angels hit you with light, and there's like violence. It's one of those Shah Rukh Khan movies, violence, the wind blowing. And I knew I wanted to be on that field.
Nadia, you spoke about the black and white traditional old football that you played with your dad long ago. Does that memory still linger in your mind? Is that still vivid?
Yeah, definitely. My dad was a really great athlete. When he was younger, he used to play for the Afghan national team in felt hockey. And later on, he developed a huge love for football. And he was the first one who gave us, one of the traditional old school football with the white and black dots. Unfortunately, we didn't really use it for football. We use it for other games. But so I remember, so I knew what football is. And even though he was like, no, 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 you guys are not supposed to throw this with your hands. You're supposed to like use your feet. And everyone's like, this is weird.
We're still sticking to the refugee camp story. You've started football training, you've started to learn the language, and you've started banging goals. Now, how did the people start to accept you?
I think it's hard to say when it really happened, the transition. I think there's still going to be certain people who never accept me as one of them, but that's not really the point. I think for me, as I said, it became an obsession very, very quick for me. And I just from then, I started to play more important games. And when I was around 14, 15, they wanted to have me on the youth national teams. But I didn't have the Danish passport yet. So I wasn't allowed to play games, even though I had, good skills and had the talent. So until I was 18, didn't get my Danish passport. So the day I got my Danish passport, the coach from the national team called me and he's like, "Congrats, Nadia. You were selected for the next selection, which is in Portugal, friendly tournament, Algarve." So yeah, and then I think that's where I got the most acceptance, because I was the first one with different skin color, different ethnicity that represented Denmark. So it was a big story in Denmark. And big thing for me as well, because I felt like I was a part of bringing a change to the culture, I guess.
Your international career started at 18. Do you remember the time when you started your first goal? And also, do you look up at the sky and say, "Hey, thank you, God, thank you, Dad, for everything"?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
You know that I'm a striker, so I score a lot of goals. So I don't even remember when my first goal was. I think it was actually against Iceland. I don't think I had one of those moments where I looked up to anyone. I just get so into my emotions at the moment when you score. So I forget kind of everything around me. It's just pure feelings, it's like pure passion, pure love. You are about to scream, cry, laugh all the same time. So I don't really remember anyone else. I'm sorry. But maybe after the goal, I'll be like, yeah, dedicated to my family, I would say.
Isn't there a moment when you remember that black and white football and think about your father?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of moments, where I do feel proud, and I do remember my family and my dad. And, I think if he was still alive, he would be proud of my achievements, definitely.
Nadia, you've played in one of the best clubs, including Manchester City. Does it make you proud? And also how women's football has transferred from a small little game to a huge sellout crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like a big moment for women's football right now. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room in England, Richmond. We've been training hard the last couple of weeks, and we have our game on Friday. Tonight is England and Austria, the first opening game in the tournament. So it's a big moment, definitely. And then, the women's game has come along, very long. And you love to see that, feel the atmosphere where it's like sold out stadiums. It is amazing to experience that in Europe. And my wish obviously is that you have that everywhere around the world, because why not?
Well, when we're talking about women's football, Bend It Like Beckham, the movie, can't stay away. What's your memory of that movie? Do you remember?
Yes, that's almost my life story in a nutshell, so many times. But I love that movie, and it's so accurate in so many ways, just because it portrays lives of a lot of individuals who do have a different background than European, or where the culture and the religion always clashes. And then I've watched it a lot. I don't know if there's one moment where it's switched. I don't think there's a moment. It's just been like this study progress over a decade, 2 decades. And yes, you do see this right now, as I said, Europe, US, where I play right now. It's amazing. But for me, you want to have this globally. You don't need to be white, blue eyes, or certain countries for you to have that right. And for me, doing sports should be is a human right.
In a way, are you confessing that you are the central character of the movie, and how do you relate with the entire experience of that movie?
Definitely. I think that's as I said, that's my life in a nutshell. Really, I could really relate to a lot of the movie. I think 95% of the movie I understood. So it's a very good movie, and I've watched it multiple times.
Is it safe to presume that you understand Hindi and also you like watching Hindi Bollywood movies?
100% मुझे हिंदी आती है. मैं बॉलीवुड मूवीज को देखती हूँ बहुत. मैं बॉलीवुड के साथ बड़ा हुआ हूँ. So सबको जानती हूँ. शाहरुख खान, आमिर खान, रणवीर सिंह. मेरा favorite person actor Khan hai. Obviously, Shah Rukh Khan, I love that guy, and Ranveer Singh. So one of those, just because I grew up with it and I love their movies. Mera favorite movie hai. That's a hard one. Oh, there's so many. I have so many. I couldn't choose one. I would really say Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. I love that movie, obviously. I love Ye Dil Hai Mushkil. I really love that movie. And also Rob, I think, what's the name? Bajrujan Mastani. The guy was like, ho, 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 Ranveer Singh. But it's hard to choose one. I think they're all amazing. And every time I watch a movie, it makes you feel happy afterwards. I don't know what it is. It's the Bollywood magic.
Well, it's an interesting one, Nadia. If Shah Rukh Khan is watching this interview, what would you like to tell him?
Shah Rukh Khan or Ranveer Singh, one of those. I would say to him, my favorite quote in life, how I view life, it is from one of his movies, where he says, "Bade bade deshon mein aise chote chote baatein hote rehti hai, señorita." So every time I have some difficulties in life, I kind of think of that, because I'm like, it's a big world and these kind of problems will be there, and I love that. So nahi magar mujhe Hindi or Bollywood culture mein bahut interest hai, kyunki it's something that makes you happy. It's very colorful, and I love that culture. Very joyful.
Nadia, you were actually trending on Twitter in India when you actually won the FIFA award. Your goals, you being a doctor, you speaking 9 languages, is all celebrated. How do you feel about it?
Facts. That's amazing. But it's reality, I think we as human beings are capable of way more than we think. And I do know that we all have our different, struggles and difficulties in life. But right. If you really want to bring a change, if you want to, make it happen, you have to believe that's possible. And then you obviously have to work your butt off to achieve those goals. And I think I'm a great example. I wasn't really dealt the easiest card in life, and, I made something out of it, I guess.
Nadia, you were actually trending on Twitter in India when you actually won the FIFA award. Your goals, you being a doctor, you speaking 9 languages, is all celebrated. How do you feel about it?
It's a combination, definitely. I think because I am 50% her. So my mom was the first, female in her family to have an school education. And she knew that it's very important for you to have one, because education gives you power to understand the world. And when you understand the world, you know how to change what. It gives you a voice. So for me, I knew at a very young age that I needed to have a very high education, just because once I am quite smart, and secondly, because it's important for me. And, also hence I'm also the ambassador for, UNESCO girls education around the world, because I do think that's like an amazing tool, as sports is, to it gives you the tool to make something out of your life. gives you the tool to understand life. And then so I think after my mom, now we have two doctors, mother siblings, a doctor, we have two nurses in the family. And I'm pretty sure that when my children and my siblings' children grow up, they're all going to have, educational backgrounds.
When you talk about your mother, Nadia, how proud is she of what you've achieved thus far?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure that my mom is proud, and she is very happy the way we've been doing. But still, my life is not over yet. I have so many goals and so many dreams I want to achieve. I want to have an impact on other people's lives. I think that's where my passion is. I want, people around me to feel comfortable, but also people who are not around me further away. I want to reach out to those. So I'm working very hard to achieve those goals. And let's see. I mean, I'm still very young and there's a lot of things for me to do.
Nadia, this is an interesting fan question. Kids today complain they don't have enough time, but looking at your achievements, do you live 48 hours in a day?
What a cheap question. And now, not really, I wish I would have more times at times where I was like, oh, I'm missing time. But I think the question here is, how do you create time for things that you love? That's the question, and it's very simple. I don't know if you know the saying, where there's will, there's a way. That's how I live if I really want something, I'm going to find the time. I'm going to prioritize my time to those things. And this is basically what I've done. I've tried to use my time properly, because it's easy to use, waste time a lot of, and I do it as well. It's not because I don't waste time. There are days where I want to waste time because it's healthy for you as well. But time management has been key for me to achieve, my goals, my dreams. So that's something that I've learned.
Well, another fan question. They ask, everyone knows of your achievements, but tell us about the sacrifices that you've made to reach this level.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the backside of the medal. You have to sacrifice. And everything that you want to achieve, there's always going to be some sacrifices. And for me, it's been, being away from my family for 8 years. Obviously, I see them in my vacations, but you're very far away and you do miss a lot of functions. As you said, you do miss your friend's birthday. You do miss your friends' weddings. So it's been a lot. But on the other hand, what you gain is triple. You make new friends. You do, have some insane experiences with your teammates. You travel the world and then see and understand and learn new cultures. So for me, it's been worth it. But if you ask some of my friends, they're like, oh my God, we're so over this. But you know what? Those friends who stick around you, though you don't see them every time, are friends for lives, obviously. And my family is always going to be there. And they know that my love for them is very strong, and the bond we have, nothing will ever break it.
Well, India has stood with the Afghanistan teams across sports. Would you want to come down to India at some stage in your career?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of, I would love to come and visit India, because as I said, it's something that's very close to me. I do follow the Indian news. I do follow whenever there's cricket tournaments. I love watching crickets, by the way. I do. I kind of feel like I follow everything from distance. I know which celebrity is marrying who, what's happening in gossips, and all of that. And, being able to come and then obviously see everything live, it's a dream of mine. I'm just waiting for the right timing. I think it was planned before the COVID, but then COVID started and it made it very difficult. I would love to connect with my Indian. Yes, Dhoni, yeah. I've watched his movies, and after watching the movies, I went and tried to make a research what's happening, how was this guy, and he was apparently pretty amazing. And right now, I would, because of Anushka's husband, I really, I'm kind of cheering for him as well, because I love Anushka and all her movies. So these are kind of my players that I've, tried to have an eye on.
Well, that's the end of fantastic interview. Thanks for joining us, Nadia. It's a journey of an iconic and an inspiring football player. Keep watching Footcast Social with me, Sunil Yashkalra, only on NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.